6 of this adventure. And it has been an adventure. The last few days, my brain has been on strike, which is no fun. But it's just how it be sometimes. So this place is great if you're trying to farm dragons. It's actually the second best place. Now the unfortunate thing about this place is only the damn conversation. Because I don't want to have to spend the souls. As far as what we'll use in case we're attacked, we'll just have that. Now I can put my clothes back on. Especially since I'm kind of rotten a little bit. I'd say that's good enough. As far as our equipment and items go, what do we have in our inventory? We got 8 of those. That's pretty cool. Because I am looking to upgrade it. Because if I remember correctly, I get you S scaling on X. Which is pretty rare. Well, while we're on the topic of upgrading the Chaos Blade, might as well just do so. Because if I remember correctly, Chaos deals damage to attacks, which is lame, but it also has a secret skill.
People these days
68. But it's dark and fast. Let's see what would happen if I use this thing. I would get A scale index and B scale. And I would go and I would get 266 damage. A raw stone increases it to 218. The best I can get is AB scale. Now, as far as my status goes, I only have 30 dice. I'm curious as to how much damage I could get this thing if I did a huge... if I pumped all of this. But for now, we're just...
Is that here, Tessila? However... back to all these. There's a lot going on in this place. So if you're not careful in this place, it will unalive you pretty good. So when you think you're safest in this place, I think you're not safe. These guys are no joke. Good damage, considering their content. Well, the thing is, once you use a bonfire aesthetic in this place, you'll start 1 and 2 shot.
horrible damage. He is the dark spirit. Forlorn. His moveset is very aggressive. He's not even like Forlorn. It's kind of a bastard that gets summoned in New Game. Because there's a nastier more damage. And that is a bit stickier on his attack patterns. I remember something burst through that. These guys also get out of the cages. That door for sure bursts. This door should then without those, they'll break through. Now, 3 fucking trolls. Plus, the troll outside. Long story short, this is all nasty shit. Thing has this much fuck up the guided. Now have to deal with 3 fucking controls. Thing is, I should have gotten the Aldea key. I didn't. that's sadness. This game is fucking really. Well, I can't remember how to get the key, which sucks for me. Because there's more dragon bones to be fought. This next area can get a little rough because there's a fucking dragon. Dragons suck. Because they breathe fire everywhere. Who would have thought, right? Dragons breathe fire. Anyways, since I gotta deal with a fire-breathing fucking dragon, I gotta do it without any means of fire resistance too. That's the real bitch of it. Well, here's to hoping I don't get murdered by a dragon. Pattern of the fire attack on the dragon. Looks like I got it down pretty good. The next area is Dragon Eyrie. In this area, it gets pretty for real.
Has watched over the world. Take this. Do not resist.
be around.
So the big issue here is that's doing 160 plus 160. This is only doing 220. Which is the big unfortunate part. I'm pretty sure it also has play with it. See if it's any better or worse. So it only requires 12 strength to use this particular weapon. The S scaling dex means that I could scale it up, that I could do a lot better.
asshole player who just breaks all of our evidence. Because you're hiding.
gets rude because you have to fight this guy. Long reach. Anyways, I got the Ashen Mist Heart. I could kill that dragon and piss off the temple, but I really see no reason. I don't even think he gives you a good item anyways. It's not like it's an item worth having. There's some secret passages in this area. There's secret passages in this area. Give you some nice upgrade materials. That's very unfortunate. difference in the bones. Anyways, there is a bigger picture to what I've been. Some people could say that it's lost because trash wrecking, as if yet. I would point out that that's not quite the truth. I do think I can get those 5,000 souls back. I didn't die twice in a row, and I shouldn't leave them, because they do contribute to my soul memory. the approach of the apathetic atheist doesn't really hold any sway, or the nihilist doesn't. They might argue that nihilism is childish, as is profane humor, in an attempt to make themselves look like the adults. Yet, my response to that is that it isn't about who the adult is or is not. Because what it's really about is who is right and who is wrong at the end of the whether you're talking about PragerU, the Daily Wire, Turning Point USA, it is all built on the unproven assertion that the Judeo-Christian God exists. And that's kind of the issue. It's one of many issues. That depend on the person making the claim. Now, how do I approach this? It's pretty simple. Apologists will try all sorts of dishonest argumentation. It really is kind of profound what they try. But you have to ask yourself, what's the best way to deal with a whole myriad amount of different objects, some of which, well, all of which are coming from different angles. I'll tell you why they come from different angles. Because that they are putting forth basically will create sort of a system, a narrative. And so, what you have to do is you have to figure out how to beat a particular. But the problem is, once you beat one narrative, another narrative will come along. You know how to deal with that narrative. And what you're dealing with, ultimately, with MAGA, is MAGA, they've taken, essentially, the dishonest model of Christian apologetics, and they've, in a way, divorced it from religion and entwined it with religion at the same time. And you could say, well, how the hell do both of these things at once? And the way that I would explain it, of it was I was going to farm that other fucking dude. What I could do with this particular build is put a rapier in the left hand and then poke people that way. But here's my point. My point is that when you look at MAGA, MAGA's fucked up because when it's convenient, MAGA's religious. But when it's inconvenient, MAGA isn't a religious movement. And that's what makes it kind of fucked up. Because what they try to do is court evangelical voters with the old style Republican platform, where they pretend to support limited government, even though they don't actually support limited government. Weird because really when you deal with these apologetics, their positions are going to be whatever is most convenient for them at any given time. And the truth of the matter, that becomes secondary, whatever it is they're trying to advance. For them, facts only exist when they are convenient and can be disregarded when they are inconvenient. And that really is the problem. You start talking about the conservatives and the debates you have with them. Like, they'll say stuff like, oh, we should be taking care of veterans at home, right? And then what happens? Well, what happens is when veterans file claims, they look for asinine reasons to deny the claim. They'll pay them on their GI Bill months late, sometimes even over a decade late, like in my case. And they'll act as if all of this could be fixed if we just dealt with illegal immigration. Well, the problem is illegal immigration isn't the issue. Because if they really wanted to take care of veterans, they would just take care of the goddamn veterans. But they don't. figured out what's most aggravating about it overall. What's most aggravating is that even if you prove to a conservative that they are wrong, they will ignore you as long as they get to keep telling their narrative. Because for a conservative, the narrative is more important than the actual reality of the situation. Racism in general. And it's weird because like I'm getting somewhere with this. They'll like talk about like, for instance, if you were to have like, you could have like an atheist, a Jewish person, and a black American each sharing their experiences. Now if you were to ask me, I would say that the black population has probably gotten better. Now, a Jewish person would probably disagree, because they would say that they had the Holocaust, yet the black community could say, yeah, well, you could at least hide if you wanted to, but you can't hide the fact that you're a black person from a white person who wants to enslave you. You know? And I would say, don't get me wrong, the Holocaust was a terrible thing. Absolutely terrible. And I mean, like, Asian Americans also have their fair share of rights. But as an atheist, I would argue I have my fair share of rights as well. But the joke is, you're not supposed to make the oppression Olympics into your whole life, your whole personality, your whole way of being. It's basically kind of like the takeaway, which I 100% get, and also like support on a basic level. Where am I going with this? You could ask. Things between. Well, then you deal with the same thing in the military. Like in the military, you'll get like a person who's like, I had to do a 12-hour shift and go out on a mission, and then IEDs attacked our convoy. But then, you know, some other guy will be like, yeah, well, I did two 2-hour shifts and saw 2 IEDs on my convoy, and then they shot at me. And, like, it turns into a game of who has it the worst.
No, of course not.
But there's always this one guy who, like, no matter how much bullshit you have gone through, and no matter how much shit you have dealt with, this person will always be able to say they had it worse. And for some people, it's legit. For instance, let's say a guy loses his leg. That is kind of one of those things where you're not gonna really top that, you know? And it's also a really terrible thing for anybody to have to deal with. And yet it happens on the regular in the military. I'm testing something. And where am I going with this, you may ask? Well, where I'm going with it is I'm pointing something out. And the thing that I'm pointing out is that, like, just because one person is, like, injured in combat doesn't mean that they're... and another person wasn't. It doesn't mean that the person who wasn't injured in combat didn't have a garbage experience. And vice versa. So here's the thing. If I were to run this build, I would get a total of 374 damage.
No,
Or
of
300
course not.
pieces.
Now go and...
See, because what I'm getting at with this particular arrangement is I don't think the Chaos Blade is as good as it's made out to be. And I'll get to what I was getting at. But it's also like, there's an example I would give. So you got two guys, and each day they bring a sandwich to work. And one guy, he goes, fuck my life. I've got a bologna sandwich, and I fucking hate it. Every day I have to eat bologna fucking sandwiches. This guy says. There's always some guy in the corner in the lunchroom who'll be like, yeah, you think your bologna sandwiches are bad? Every single day I eat sandwiches that have shit in them. Just 2 pieces of bread and a giant slab of shit right in the middle. I eat it every day, so don't complain about your bologna sandwich. Now, personally, as a person who hates bologna sandwiches, and who would never eat a shit sandwich, the way I look at this is, well, okay. Like, the joke is the guy chooses to eat the shit sandwich, though. You could say that the guy chooses to eat the bologna sandwich. We could make it right and say that one guy is forced to eat bologna sandwiches. Another guy chooses to eat shit sandwiches. And shit sandwich man, he always is like, I'm tired of hearing you bologna sandwich people complaining about how you gotta eat bologna all the time. You know, when I eat shit. It's like, well, you know. But the joke is, sorry, the shit sandwich man chooses to eat shit. He chooses to eat the shit sandwich. The bologna man doesn't. The point I'm getting at, I'm trying to infuse, being a dumb fuck, is that in the military there was always some fucking guy who would brag about eating the shit sandwich. Because that's what they did. They ate the shit sandwich like it was their job. And if you complained about eating your bologna sandwich that the army made you eat, they'd be like, I don't want to hear you complain about a bologna sandwich. And it's just like, fuck you, guy. Bologna is gross. Shit's gross. It's all fucking gross. The person would be like, what sort of a joke is he getting at here? And I'm getting at, like, the joke I'm getting at is when I was in the military, a lot of the people who would tell you to stop complaining were people that volunteered for the particular treatment they endured. You could argue that everybody in the military volunteers for it, but
Still,
I would say it's all on a spectrum, honestly. But let's say I wanted to do something different with this particular build, and I wanted to go 30 faith and 30 dex. I'm trying to see an 18 strength. I could get the Berserker Blade up to 90 points with that particular arrangement. 390. Yeah, it's... If I won. $50 decks. And 12 strength. I could get 374 damage on my katana. Right?
No, of course. No.
If I got 374 on that, I'm really trying to... Well, here's what
Do you?
we're gonna see how much of a difference we can make here. Set that to 12. 36 vigor. 25 endurance. I'm gonna boost our adaptability up. Oh crap.
Now. Go along.
Now the reason we're doing
Journey
this
with us.
is we're seeing how much damage we can get this to do. Because that's 250 plus 124, so that's 374. That's gonna be... I think my Berserker Blade's still going to do more damage, but we're going to test this out. Basically, this whole shit sandwich thing, it's a common thing. Some people, they love the shit sandwich. And they use it to silence other people with legitimate criticisms. That's what they do. For some people, shit sandwich is a status symbol. It says, I can complain and you can't. I suppose the bigger point is looking back. 0 out of 10. I do not miss my time. perhaps what I'm also saying with the shit sandwich is that I'm not trying to say that I've had it the worst of anyone in life, but I'm also pointing out that I haven't had the best either. As far as where I am in life, Jesus Christ, that was... I would say that things would be far worse if I was less intelligent than I am. And what exactly do I mean? Well, I would say some things in my life are indeed my fault. You could say that they're a consequence of who I am. But on the same token, I would also point out that some things in my life have been beyond my control. I'm not trying to say I'm entirely a victim of circumstance. But I largely am. What do I mean by that? Well, my biggest grievance comes down to how my GI Bill was mismanaged after the war. They couldn't just pay me what I was owed without making me go through a bunch of hoops. That'd be too easy. Instead, what happened is people in my cohort of veterans, they didn't count our National Guard service towards the GI Bill. And they acted. But it still didn't change the fact that for a lot of us, we were paid our benefits many months late. In my case, the remainder of my benefits were a decade late. And all of this prevented me from graduating from college without debt as I originally planned to. And this was my original reason for joining the military. Saw it as kind of a win-win, right? Figured the military needed help, and at that age, I was happy to provide it to the military because I largely missed my mission that we had at the time, since I saw terrorism, specifically Islamic terrorism, as a problem facing the United States. But looking back, I realized that a great many of the problems are largely problems of our own. And what do I mean by that? Well, here it is. Let's just say that there is a culture that has people who commit human rights abuses you don't agree with. And they have a culture that's radically different than yours. A culture that you see as incompatible with your own. Or some people see as incompatible with your own. So, what's the proper way to deal with that? Well, here's how I would see it. I would argue that the best way to deal with it is to not deal with it. And what I mean by that is not to think that it's your job to intervene. It's like there's that show, Team America. It was a Team America World Police. And the whole point Team America World Police is it was a joke about how America has to police the world. In the military, it was a very common, it was a very popular movie. Everybody loved Team America World Police because we were Team America. That was the joke, right? We knew that we were Team America enough to be able to joke about it in our role and everything. Kind of what we did. We'd run around singing America, fuck yeah. That is the life. Trying to blow us up. other because it doesn't require me to use them.
You are not one of our soldiers. Whoever you are, whether you are guided by... I am Drummond, and the Lord has played. Whoever you are, I forgive. Just mention, and even if you don't. Soon, the giants will... It is revenge for the kingdom's The venerable Lord built this... What has... Long ago. It was the giant... My father, and the giants... They cannot find it with... Did you see him? That... He... Take these. Don't ask me what... Be gone with you. Be gone.
Had to. Apparently, being greedy was my end. I suspect we're going to find out in real life that the results in similar responses, similar fates. Down to the bigger lesson. Probably gonna find that being necessarily in similar ways. It's probably gonna happen. I'm not making any specific predictions, but I'm making some general ones. Is that some people in higher positions of authority who have gotten greedy are going to think they can take more and more and more. And what they're going to find is that it is not the case. Going to find to a saying that I've always had. Don't stick your dick where it isn't. And I expect that some people are gonna learn what happens. Stick your dick where it isn't. At least that's what people are held to account. The implication is that it will just keep happening. That would be a great miscarriage of justice. Let's say justice, like an abortion. what's crazy is how basically you get the memory of the giants here. And the implication is that the giants themselves as civilization and a life all before whoever lives in Drain Lake conquered. It's interesting because the first time you play through, you really see everything that's going on here. But they're basically like, once upon a time, Drain Lake killed the giants, and then Drain Lake fell. Mailbreaker, that's an interesting weapon in this game. There are a lot of interesting weapons in this game. Anyways. I could try a bleeding fusion on this weapon. I just am worried that it won't be very good. But I also suspect that it would still allow me to actually proceed. Bigger enemies and never actually be a good investment. I'm gonna find out. I would go from 250 to 175 plus 140. So that's 275. So it's still over 300.
Be gone.
That is, it's not doing a great deal of damage. The hounds. Let's see if I can't do some more Bell Covenant. See, the weird thing about Dark Souls 2 bleed is you can't even tell if it procs you, except for the lacerating arrow, and then you get really close. Look at these attacks here. Played very low IQ there. Dies off a little bit. I'm finally at the 1 million souls rank too, which is probably not helping my casing.
cause them at this point. So, what I found out with bleed is that occasionally you get a decent burst damage. With Vendrick, it's about 200 points. Which, not great, not terrible. A very niche weapon. Because if you think about it, I'd probably be better off removing that enchantment. Placing it somewhere. Now it should one-shot the dogs even on it. A casual strike.
At this point, I think I'm going to call it. It's been fun, but I have other things I should be spending some attention